Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. This press conference was called today to make sure that we continue to keep everyone informed of the latest developments regarding the ransomware cyber attack on the city of Atlanta. Once again, I want to remind everyone that at this time, there's no evidence that customer data or residential data or employee data has been compromised. However, we are still encouraging employees, customers, retirees, or anyone who feels that their personal information may be housed within the City of Atlanta's database to take precautionary measures to monitor and protect your personal information. That, of course, includes monitoring your bank accounts and also notifying the respective credit agencies of any issues that may arise as a result of this. In the coming days, we will offer employees additional resources and information if needed. And I will also ask our Chief Operating Officer, Richard Cox, to provide additional details on city operations. But I also want to just thank the team from the City of Atlanta who literally has worked around the clock to make sure that we are still functioning and that we are still addressing the issues that we are facing as a city. Specifically, I want to thank AIM, also my entire senior team, our federal partners at the FBI, Homeland Security, and the Secret Service, Microsoft, Cisco, and several of our other corporate partners who really have just stepped up to provide guidance, best practices, and just to really provide support and answer questions that arise as we navigate this issue. One of our corporate partners shared earlier today, and I thought that this is very appropriate, just a reminder that this is a marathon, not a sprint. This certainly is a very serious issue that we are facing as the City of Atlanta, and I just ask all of our residents to please be patient. What we want to make sure of is that we aren't putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, and that we are taking the appropriate steps to assess where we are and also to address the issues that have arisen. And with that, I will ask Richard Cox to please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. Before I begin, I want to echo the comments from the mayor. I want to express my appreciation for the team that has worked tirelessly, literally around the clock on this situation. I can no longer say I'm new. This is my 5th day. But what I can tell you is in a very short time, I've grown to appreciate the work ethic, the fortitude, and the dedication of the team that we have here. And I can't express that enough. We have a number of updates that are really important. So I'm going to go through details in terms of each operational department and what citizens can and cannot expect during this period. I do want to emphasize the same thing I said on yesterday. Our police department, 911, they are not impacted. I want to emphasize that. It's really important. Our fire department, rescue department, they've not been impacted. And again, 911 is operational. The first department, Department of Watershed Management. So I'm happy to report that contrary to any other reports that you may have heard, that our water waste treatment services are not impacted, our water quality has not been impacted, and water service requests are being processed. That being said, the department, they're renewing hydrant requests and accepting returns. However, no new water meter sales will be processed at this time. Water and sewer emergency maintenance service requests should be submitted via 311. The site development service reviews are still operational. And moving on to the aviation department. The airport has not been impacted in any way. We have disabled the Wi-Fi, again, in an abundance of caution. So the airport has not been impacted. Municipal court. So services at the municipal court include defendants who have been arrested and taken into custody by the Department of Corrections. They were seen today between 8 and 1 p.m. And will be seen Sunday using manual tickets in compliance with Georgia law. Reset forms and change of address forms can be completed in person at the court during normal business hours. Currently, the court does not have the ability to process ticket payments online or in person. The court is not able to validate warrants originated from the court at this time, but this is important. Customers who were set for court will not be penalized during this time. No failure to appear for cases that were set during this time will be generated, and all cases will be automatically reset. So, of course, we want to make sure we're operating fairly during this process. Moving on to ATL 311, it is operational, and residents and customers can still make service requests over the phone. Our active service requests include trash, recycling, yard trimming, emergency traffic signals, potholes, and graffiti removal. Requests for watershed management, emergency, and water sewer infrastructure concerns are being phoned into the department's dispatch. Code enforcement requests are still being processed. At this time, Atlanta 311 is not able to process inquiries with the following: watershed management billing inquiries, new water service requests, and water service disconnections. The ATL 311 portal has not been compromised. However, the ability to make service requests through this website, they have been disabled. The Department of Procurement, there are no significant impacts on solicitations. We don't expect any. The department now has website access and is able to update solicitations and communicate to all stakeholders. Contracts will continue to be processed, and the department continues to work on gaining access to Oracle in order to issue purchase orders. Moving to the Department of City Planning. No significant operational impacts at this time. The department is able to process permits and fees. They're also conducting inspections. Payments are still available via the online portal. Inspection assignments are slower but operational, and the Department of Public Works solid waste pickup is on schedule. No other operations are impacted there. Moving on to human resources, everything is operating as normal, save new applications for new employment have been suspended during this time. Moving to the Department of Corrections, the department is processing inmates manually, otherwise no impacts. Department of Parks and Recreation, no major operational impacts. The department is manually reviewing permits and event applications. Customers can safely utilize the department's online system. The Atlanta Housing Authority has not been impacted in any way. Major events are still scheduled, so this is important. Over the weekend, we have lots going on. We want to let you know that the March for Our Lives and the NCAA March Madness events will go forward. The City of Atlanta is fully prepared to manage these events along with crowds that will be in the downtown area. Again, I want to thank all of our city departments and employees who have worked tirelessly to resolve this issue. I also want to point out that our federal partners have been in lockstep with us. They've been amazing during this process. Lastly, I want to say, and I share this with our team and our council, we're working on this in real time. And what that means is information changes really dynamically. So we want to be really careful not to make definitive statements because we know that there are chances that they may change. With that, we do feel it's important to continue to communicate. You have our commitment that we'll do so. And at this time, I want you to hear from our leader of information technology. I'll turn it over to Daphne.
And I'm sorry. Before Daphne comes up, I did want to recognize the members of council who are here. Jennifer I, Joyce Shepard, Carla Smith. Have I missed anyone? That it? Okay, thank you.
Hello. I really couldn't say anything any better than our mayor and COO have stated already. We are deeply in the active investigation and incident management mode. And what that means is we are not ready to share any definitive statements because, as was just stated, the data and the information changes on a regular basis. So in abundance of caution, several of the systems that we've taken offline is to ensure that we have done due diligence with inspecting all the data at both the data file level as well as the application level to ensure that no compromised data is actually brought back online until it's fully remediated. Can't say enough about the partnership. One of the things that the mayor charged us with and the COO is that we're bringing together a wide range of resources, and so we got to get egos out the way. So egos are out the way, and we're all coming to the table to bring each of our areas of domain expertise to bear as we continue this journey to solve the situation we have at hand. Again, we're in deep investigation and incident management mode, so we don't have any details that can be released at this moment, but as was articulated by the mayor and the COO, we feel confident that we're doing the right things and will continue to be transparent and provide immediate information to you all as made available. Questions?
Do you plan to pay them?
Okay.
We are continuing to work with our federal partners and other stakeholders to advise us on how best to navigate and approach this. So this is a very fluid situation, and we want to make sure that we are operating in a way that will be best for the city.
Mayor Bottoms, I had a cybersecurity expert say that generally in scenarios like this, there was either that the hackers would exploit a non or unupdated, some sort of unupdated software or potentially compromised credentials. I mean, how close are you to identifying how these folks happen to get in and closing those gaps?
So my friends on social media pointed out that I spoke of data breaches and ransomware, and they were two separate things. And what I will just say is that what we know is that someone is in our system and that there is a weakness there. And the analogy that I've given is that I had a lovely 2006 truck that I drove for many years, and it was in an accident, and I had to get a new one. I wasn't happy about it, but it was an opportunity to upgrade and make some improvements, and that's the way that I've charged our team to look at this situation as really a glass half full. It is absolutely not what we wanted to have happen in the city of Atlanta, but to the extent that there are changes and upgrades that we need to make to our system, we need to do it now.
Mayor, can you provide any additional details about the actual hack itself? How did they get in? What's happening at this point?
I absolutely cannot. And I don't know if I couldn't articulate it anyway, but I will see if Daphne can explain more about that or if that's appropriate to be shared. All right, so not at this time.
Mayor, some of the folks who worked with closely on the council when you were on council are firmly against the idea of paying any ransom. How do you feel about that?
I have my personal thoughts on that, but I have been advised not to share them.
Some of them have told me that it might be a bitter pill to swallow, but they would be prepared to approve millions if necessary to do a rebuild and upgrade if that's the way you have to go.
And I thank them in advance for that approval because thank you.
Is the attack still ongoing or has it been stopped?
Will you answer that, Daphne?
We're still in incident management mode, which means that we're always still on the lookout for ensuring that other threat vector mechanisms aren't being compromised. So that's an ongoing vigilance of alertness we have to take into consideration. So we are looking at the perimeter. So we're looking at our network and our customer-facing systems as well as our internal system environment too. So it's a multi-pronged approach to ensuring that our total network and infrastructure is safe and secure and is being investigated for any compromises that may have taken place.
How long will, so I know some of the steps you've taken because you had to, some because, for precautionary reasons. When do you foresee things, these services getting back to where they need to be?
I can't give you, again, any definitive timelines, but I can tell you we're working around the clock. A team of people are in shifts, and we each have very focused sets of work that we're charged with completing, and we come back and report on the status of those issues. So we will be forever cautious with the mayor's support, too, of making sure we don't rush to bring something back online without being fully sure and confident that we've remediated any issues.
Mayor, we're concerned there'd be delays in payroll, is that supposed to be?
No, that's not a concern that has been addressed.
Mayor, this is a national story now. What can you say to people who say, how can this happen to a major American city? How can they essentially be held hostage?
Well, what I would say is this obviously is something that's happening across the world, and it's happening to corporations, it's happening to cities, and it really speaks to the need, I believe, for us to really be in lockstep with our federal partners on our security in general. This clearly is a threat to our national security, and I am so very grateful for our federal partners who are here making sure that we are receiving the best information possible. The issue, quite frankly, is we are responding to something that has happened, and clearly there needs to be a more proactive approach to make sure that this does not continue to happen. And I'll put it in context. I had a friend who died on a plane overnight, and it really put it in context for me in that this is a massive inconvenience to the city, but it is not life or death. So this is going to be very uncomfortable for us as a city as we are down and the things that have made our way of life very convenient. But I would rather that we be down and be right than rush to fix this issue and have this issue again in a matter of weeks, months, or year.
Mayor Bottoms, do we know when the last time the city did a full sort of cyber threat assessment on its own systems? Some have asked me, well, ask them why it took for an attack like this before we finally decided to take the steps. This is not a new thing, the issue of cities fixing security departments.
Certainly it's not, but as you know, it's fluid. So even with every assessment that we do, there's a reason that there are constant upgrades because there are constant threats. So even with every assessment that we do, there's still another threat ahead of us that has to be addressed. And I do know that our team frequently makes upgrades, and we are constantly reminded not to click on links that we don't recognize, et cetera, but there are certainly still vulnerabilities. And I think that it really is about us making sure that we have the absolutely safest system that's possible and available to us.
Mayor, whose fault is this? Like, who do you believe should be held accountable here?
I've had a joke in there, but I think it may get taken the wrong way. We don't know. There's no way for us to know.
I have another question. Yesterday, we talked to a number of city employees who were saying they showed up to work and they would be sitting there because they were told not to turn on their computers. So is it costing the city any money to just have these employees that really can't do their jobs?
Well, certainly, there is an inconvenience to the city and a cost, but as I've charged my team back in the mayor's office, it's a really good time to clean up your office, clean out your desk. I sat at my desk last night and had the luxury of not having 10 other things piled on top of it because our systems were down. And quite honestly, I've seen some other people, Katrina Taylor Parks, cleaning up their offices today. So again, not what we would ask for, and certainly it's costing us money because we aren't up fully operational. But I think there's an opportunity for us to take advantage of some other things.
Mayor, I know you don't want to place blame on people, but were there systematic breakdowns during the last administration over the last couple of years that resulted in this happening? Is it unrealistic that folks should want a city that's not susceptible to this?
No, we've not done the autopsy if you will, because right now we have an immediate threat in front of us that we are addressing. And I think that we are all well aware that there are system upgrades that are needed in the city. And it really is about us making sure that we are allocating the resources, and we will take the opportunity to do that.
Mayor, are you concerned at all with how this is being perceived by the folks at Amazon? A big technology company that's going to build a headquarters. Are they worried that, well, maybe I'm not going to be that?
Well, this is the first time Amazon has come up in this discussion. That's an interesting question, but no, I'm not. Simply because there's so many other corporations who have faced this same issue. There are other cities across the country who face this issue. Charlotte, Denver, just to name two. We know that Target, we know that Equifax, we know Home Depot, and go through the list, that this is an issue of national concern. And so I don't think that it speaks to any weaknesses that we have as a city per se. I think it really speaks to just the age that we live in.
Can you address how many specific systems were impacted by this? How many computers?
Can you answer that, Bethany?
Again, we're still conducting scans to determine the degree of impact across applications. We do know some that were obvious that we took offline immediately to ensure that they did not propagate. But as it turns out, the customer-facing systems, a lot of those were taken down at an abundance of caution too. Because again, once you have something that may propagate throughout your environment, you don't want to take time for it to make its way from one system to another until you understand the source of the threat and the way in which it's propagating throughout your environment. So we really want to understand what we had at hand and what we were dealing with before we were overly enthusiastic about keeping things online that we really should have taken offline. We didn't want to have to pay the price with hindsight.
Does the city have a cyber attack insurance policy?
Yes, we do.
Jim?
Yes, we do, sir. We've taken steps to make sure we had a policy in place to cover this sort of attack. As the mayor said, this has become more and more common, and after some of the recent attacks that occurred at different organizations, we thought it was a prudent idea to have coverage for this.
And again, I just want to say, I'm so grateful to our senior team for having the foresight to have a policy like that in place, because what it really has allowed us to do is to really be in touch and apprise ourselves of what's out there that's best available, best practices, and the best in the business. So our fix that we are looking at is not just the best government fix. We want the best fix and the best people at the table that we can avail ourselves of, and we've been able to do that over the last 24 hours.
Mayor, have you had any more communication with those hackers, and did they ever give you a deadline as to when you have to make a decision to pay that ransom or not?
That's information that we can't go into at this time. And I don't know if our interim procurement chief is here, Susan Garrett, but she really does she gets the award. Last night was a very late night, and I've talked a lot about us moving to an e-procurement system, and she took the opportunity to remind me that her department was the only one that was still up and functional. So.
If this isn't solved over the weekend, will you have employees in those affected departments come to work?
That's a decision that we will make at a later time. We will have to, it's very fluid, and we will continue to assess and make that decision accordingly.
Is there a goal? I know we're not done yet. Is there a goal to be recruited for Monday, but it might be later? Or?
What I've said to our team is, in an effort for us to get up and running, let's not let speed get in the way of what's best. And I don't know what that time frame is, but I want to make sure that we have addressed the issue, and hopefully it will be sooner than later. But we don't know the answer to that right now.
Do you have
Pardon?
Do you know what the limits are for the insurance policy?
So we know what the deductible is and we know what the limits are, but we're not gonna get that out there so that future attackers try to keep going after us. So if I tell you what my limits on my car insurance are, then you might hit me, or I might. So we're not gonna share that data right now. But I tell you, the city was around before computers were. So we'll keep grinding through this. We had police officers before computers were around. We had firefighters before computers were around. So we'll move through this with or without computers, because we rise from the ashes. That's what we do.
Well, and Jim Beard drops the mic on that one. So. All right. Thank you all.